Hi, welcome back to the channel. Neil Donaldson's Lotus Excel restoration. Today we're going to, I think we're at video 29. We're going to focus on the exhaust pipe and putting everything back together. Well, I've got a few things to fix first on the exhaust pipe, like a bit of welding to do, grinding, that sort of stuff, brackets to repair, put that together, give it a bit of paint as well so it looks a lot better, stop a bit of the corrosion. First of all, obviously, I'm going to concentrate on getting the bolts of the suspension tightened up. I'm still going to finish all that off. Yeah, and then fix up the exhaust, give it a try, and see how we get along. So, there's no time like the present. Let's get on with it. Now, what I'm going to do first today is tighten up all the bolts for the suspension. So we've got pretty much everything in place as it is now, and I'm going to tighten everything up. I'm also going to bleed the brakes because obviously they need bleeding. Yeah, and then the next thing I'm going to concentrate on is this exhaust pipe. The flexi joint there is completely it's just got a hole in there, so I bought a new flexi pipe, but I think I'm going to have to do something with I think the diameter's a little bit too thick on the new one for them, so I'm going to have to maybe engineer some kind of solution there. But yeah, I'll come to that a bit afterwards though. As I say, the first thing I'm going to do is tighten up all the bolts. Now, what you're supposed to do to tighten up all the bolts is you're supposed to obviously put it on its own weight, on the wheels and on its own weight. Actually, for normal rubber bushings, you have to do that. I don't think you actually need to do that with poly bushes, which are fitted on this car. I think what they'll do is they'll rotate anyway, and rubber bushes, obviously, they just flex, and poly ones, they kind of rotate. So it won't rip them. It won't rip them basically, like it would do with rubber bushings. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jack the car anyway and do it that way. Yeah, I know you shouldn't, probably don't have to, but yeah. So let me get on with that and tighten up all the bolts. So I've essentially jacked it up, and it's not quite resting, it's just a bit higher than the axle stands there. I've put a little bit of extra weight in there as well before I tied up the bolts. Well, we're bound to get this weather some day or another. I mean, I've pretty much enjoyed good weather, I have to say. But yeah, I'm making a start on the exhaust pipe, so I've started cutting pieces off. Still got to cut this section off here with the angle grinder. I'm not even going to bother, as I say. Trying to remove those bolts the standard way with spanners and shit like that. So just cut them off with the angle grinder. And yeah, looks like I'm going to need a bit of attention. Looks a bit cracked there, so I'll try and clean that up and weld it up, put things back together, paint it and put things back together. Let me proceed to cut that off. Okay, so let me take them down to the workshop and extract some of the bolts from there. Just trying to hammer out the old studs here. So I'll get a hammer on that. There's some cracks in some of the brackets there. I was debating about whether I'm going to repair them or just leave them. I think in this case I will try and repair it. That's in a yeah, not an ideal position basically. So I'll probably try and weld that, I think, together and see how I get on. I'll have to do that with clean it out with the angle grinder properly, the flat disc or something like that, and see if I can put some weld in there. So I've cut a notch in there now and exposed some metal from the rust, and yeah, I'll proceed to weld that now, see if I can fill that up with weld, and it should create a tight enough bond there now. I've had about 3 or 4 goes at welding it and grinding it, and is it perfect? No, most definitely not, but I have to say that I'm going to leave it at that. I'm quite happy with it. I think that'll work. I'll probably try and repair the corners now. Maybe I don't expect it to be as good as that one, but there's a split there too, so I might have a go at that as well. Be a bit more difficult with that one, but yeah, I might even have to drill it. I might just weld the corner here. Well, let me see. Once again, anything but perfect, but can I live with that? Definitely. Yeah, it'll have to be obviously re-drilled, but yeah, I mean the bracket itself is pretty solid, I would imagine. But let me re-drill it. I think Neil Bennett, you asked about drilling holes and accuracy of drilling holes, and I'll just show you my technique to drill that one accurately. Yeah, in this case it's quite easy because I've got 2 brackets on the same bit of pipe in there, so I've just literally put some screws in there to hold it in place. And this is the hole I need to drill, is sort of on that side of that hole, and I'm just going to basically drill through there. Yeah, that makes it very accurate, obviously. No problems there. But obviously, if you haven't got another bracket or anything like that, I just find a scrap piece of metal, drill the size hole you want into it, and clamp it together exactly where you need to drill, and that holds the drill bit in place. So it makes it it's a good method actually to, you know, produce an accurate drill. Basically, if you haven't got a bench drill, which is something I do need to buy, but anyway, it'll do for now. Not great. I should perhaps have started off with a much smaller drill bit before I've gone on to the actual size that I need. So I'll get there. Not the best job I've ever done there, but it serves its purpose. The bolt fits through and it'll clamp together. So I need to give that a bit of paint and job done. So I bought a new flex joint here. It looks like it's going to take a small bit of engineering to make that fit in place. What I'll do first is I'll mark 2 points on this exhaust pipe at a certain distance so that when it comes back together we'll know exactly how far, obviously, it needs to be, how far apart the bits need to be when they get joined. I'll just mark it and measure it like that. I'll show you what I mean. Yeah, so I put 2 pieces of duct tape here to mark out where, so that edge to there, that's pretty much, well, exactly 30 centimetres. That is. So obviously when I come to, I'm going to cut this piece off from about here and there, and then obviously that's when I put that back on, it's got to be able to fit in and seal, and then the length between there and there has to be 30 centimetres. So I can proceed to cut with the angle grinder here and here. what I've got now then is 35 centimetres, 35.5 centimetres, and I need to reduce that by the distance between there and there by about 5.5 centimetres. So what I think I'll do is I'll measure that down there and cut off this bit here, and then extend that sort of groove there a little bit along there, and I think that will work. So I've essentially marked off now where I need to cut it, so I just need to cut it along that line there and along that line there, then extend. Let me do that. I've filed down both sides now, and the gap between that piece of tape and that piece of tape is pretty much 30 centimetres now, which is the desired result, so I'm pretty pleased with that actually. I think that will work. As I say, well, I won't know for sure until after I put it on the car, but I'll give that a bit of a clean up both ends. A bit more paint, I think. And yeah, job done on that particular one. I've just been cleaning up some of the other parts of the exhaust. Yeah, the stainless bits actually come up quite well. There's obviously a bit of scratch in there. Just to note there that the thicker bit has still got the rubber bit on when it comes to remount. I have to remove that when I'm going to paint the ends there. So for reassembly, let's bear that in mind. Also these bits, there was a lot of under seal on one of the mufflers that I had to scrape off, but yeah, other than that, I mean, okay, they're not perfect, but they've come up reasonably well, I have to say. So in the meantime, I've cleaned up, painted a bit some of these components, and yeah, I guess I'm ready to start putting them on the car. So let me get on with that. Start with that centerpiece, I think, and the mufflers. Unfortunately, the exhaust paste that I used to seal the exhaust joints, I bought it about a year ago, but unfortunately it's so hard now that it's completely useless. So I'll have to go perhaps on Monday and buy some more. I'll assemble the pieces in position anyway beforehand. I'm just trying to get everything lined up in here regarding the exhaust, and yeah, it can be a bit of a struggle at times. In fact, there's the flex joint at the front, it's not fitting, it's not sealing well enough, so I'm going to have to go and manufacture something or come up with a solution there. But as you can see, it's all looking a little bit better, and yeah, very pleased with that. I've just about finished doing up all the bolts for the exhaust now, so it's all in place, and I guess it's time to fire up and see where the exhaust is leaking from and deal with the problems as they come. Let me do with that. I'll crawl under the car and have a look then. Yeah, unfortunately most of the exhaust bits are blowing. I'm going to have to use some exhaust paste, I think, to get that under control. But yeah, I'll do just that, I think. Yeah, that bit's blowing too. Yeah, alright, let me do that then. So I've managed to seal the flex joint there. I've put in some pieces of exhaust band, like it's like a bandage sort of thing underneath that bracket, and put in some exhaust paste there, and that's sealed quite well. I've also put in some exhaust paste in there, which I'm going to do with the other joints then, and I'll test it again and see if it's fixed the problem. So I'll start at the manifold end there. So I've put some gunk, some fire gum in there, this stuff in all the joints all the way along, and let's see if that makes a difference. I'll fire up again and check the exhaust pipe. Yeah, and already I can hear that it's much better. I think I'll just turn a bit of choke. Doesn't sound like it's blowing. It just sounds a lot quieter. But I guess I'll get under the car and check everything. It's actually blowing from there still. I'm going to have to repair that. Looks like the joint of the thing there has obviously some damage here, and it seems to have broken the weld a little bit there. So either I need another middle section, or I can either try and repair and weld it or something like that. I might try and see if I can find another one. So that seems to be the only place it's actually leaking from. So pleased about that. Yeah, I have to say, not a great day. It's clear that I'm going to have to do some more work on the exhaust. Also, a few other things are not working since it's been stood there for a couple of months now, including the fans, and the left side headlamp is also not raising again. So yeah, but anyway, that concludes the video for today, guys. So yeah, please subscribe, please like if you can. Until the next one, ciao ciao.